I think we should go over a few hot topics here. For one, just interesting thing that we seen today, the gold dome, huh? But we won't go too much into that and the fears that I might say something that could get me in trouble. But I'll wait to see how this looks for everybody. I can see it set up in front of me. It looks really good, so I know everybody's going to be looking at this good. But I want to make sure that I don't say anything until after everybody gets in here, because then I'll have to repeat myself. And I've noticed it takes, a minute or two for it to actually push around my content. Messi, welcome in. Glad to see you in here, friend. Let's see who else was in here. Shane, good evening. Yes, please make sure to hit that like button so that YouTube will push us through the algorithm 100%. Mark Caston, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. DML, welcome in. Great to see you as well, my friend. Ringneck, welcome in. Tommy Two Guns, love it. Love it. Crypto Cooter, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Miles, good evening. Trial by Fire, welcome in, says good evening, Tom and Army. XRP and ZBCN, and I do have ZBCN as well. I've been slowly but surely divulging everything. I guess the biggest additions in the last 4 days would be Alchemy Pay, would be ZBCN. Those are two pretty big ones. Miles Hamilton, welcome in. Good to see you in here, friend. Matthew, good evening. Jorge, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor, and also being a very trusted mod. Good evening, Robert. Let's see. Yes, XDC. XDC is one that I've been adding every single day, closing in on 50,000 tokens now. I think the last time I checked, I was just over 42,000 and some change. But today's a new day. I'll buy more today. I'll buy more tomorrow. Until it gets to 10 cents, I'm just going to keep buying it. I have a real strong conviction for XDC, and I believe when we do hit that next part, it's going to be pretty special. Let's see. John Page, good evening, my friend. Hopefully you're having a swell day. John Hall, good evening, and thank you for continuing to tune in. Much love to you, my friend. You're welcome. Zachary Clark, good evening. I do keep it as real as I possibly can. DML, welcome, and what's your thoughts on BSV? I don't know. I don't have a lot of thoughts about BSV, honestly. Yeah, I did an Alchemy Pay video earlier today, but obviously it's not XRP, and it's not going to get a ton of views. I mean, it might later. It shows 327 views on here, but when I look through my analytics, it shows 460. So not a ton of views, but enough to where if somebody needed the information, they could find it. Let's see. Joseph, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. John Bugathorpe, yes, everything is going well, my friend. It's going good. Be a little bit busy at the end of the week when I have to go to Grand Rapids for my son's medical stuff. But it's nothing crazy like last year. It's just a change out the button. And just it's been 1 year since he got his YouTube and things like that. Akbar, welcome in. And John Bugathorpe, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year as well with the I Told You So badge. Mario, good evening. I read that Ripple bid $6 billion for Circle. That is correct. It was rejected. Circle wanted about $10 billion. So, Zachary says, everyone, let's give Tommy a like. He don't BS or try to make us buy. No. I'm never going to make you buy bad tokens. Yeah, if you buy anything, well, I'm not a financial advisor for one, but if you do buy something, it should probably be something that I'm owning, because I only believe in the ISO and the IoT, which means they're going to be part of the overall framework, so to say. But I don't know. I feel really good about doing this live today. Yesterday, YouTube wouldn't put it into the function I needed it to, so I was unable to do it. But we don't dwell. We just continue and we improve. So let me do the intro, and then we're gonna really get into these charts. We're gonna get into the fact that in the first day on the CME, on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange with the futures, 2.4 million in trading volume was had. The The SEC delayed decisions on XRP and Dogecoin's ETFs, but I'm more interested in the XRP. So yeah, there's a couple things we really need to go over. I think it's important, especially with the chart. I see a lot of people talking about how XRP is so bearish and this and that and yada, yada, yada. But I can unequivocally tell you, XRP is not bearish in the current spot it's at. Now, if it breaks down the breakout of this descending triangle that we broke out of, or the wedge, whatever I don't care what you call it. We'll get into the chart. But unless it were to break that structure down, and I can tell you for a fact we haven't done that yet. That's at 229. We're very bullish until that happens, because this is the back test of a breakout, and holding this back test would not only confirm a pushback over $3, it would also open up the door to being able to really talk about the fact that we really did push into a wave 5. And if that's the case, it's going to be something a lot bigger than I think a lot of people realize, because that's going to push us into territories we've never been at with these XRP's price history, which means we're going to push past the demand zone, which also means we're going to have to push past an all-time high, which puts you into discovery. And the one thing we have working in our favor that I don't think it gets enough attention is the fact that when we went back up to $3.40 after we got back, from a 7-year consolidation, we already dumped back out and filled several different areas. We dumped more than 50% after we went all the way up there. A lot of that sell volume, truth be told, ladies and gentlemen, that's not just, XRP is a pile of crap and we don't think it can go any farther. A lot of that has to do with, and this is why it was a good spot to take profit if you wanted to or if you didn't want to hold. But you have people that were sitting in a position for 7 years and they were made whole. Essentially, everybody, 97% of people were made whole. These people that sat there for 7 years, like, oh my God, I'm finally able to get out of this. Thank you, Jesus. And it had to consolidate. Now, if it breaks back up into discovery, you've already had that happen. I can't explain it enough. You've already had that happen. And it's a blessing. It is such a freaking blessing to have that happen already and not have to deal with all of that trash up there right now. It really is. So we're going to get into it. I'll talk about it. But first, good evening. 6:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire with the side bet on XLM and Future Digibyte OG, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Wow. When I first started this, if I would have thought that the intro would have evolved into this, I would have said, you're out of your freaking mind or I'm insane. Well, you are not out of your freaking mind, and I very well might be insane. But it's all for good reason. I've come to realize the older I get that if you see something a certain way and everybody else sees it the other way, you automatically look like the dummy. So for us with XRP, when you've got a whole populace that is looking at it like it's a pile of junk, but we actually know that it bounced into an area, and now hear me out. And I understand that maybe when you see red on the screen, you're like, oh my God, it's another red day. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Oh my God, this can't be good for risk. I can understand that. But before we jump off a cliff, let's get one thing straight here. We, for the most part here, have done every single conceivable thing we needed to do. This descending triangle, which some people would be like, oh, it's a descending wedge. You got narrowing in. Isn't that just a triangle in the descending fashion anyhow? So the descending formation that busted into it. Now, you technically usually break out 70% of the move. Well, 70% of the move is within this pole right here. So if we back test this and hold, as long as we hold 229, we don't have to go back to 209. And that 209 is only there because we had that like that before the breakout. But that emphasizes that short-term cluster. We've got a whole cluster of nonsense in here. And that ended up coiling us up into a resistance, which ended up being important because this ended up being the uptrend to the uptrend to the uptrend. Now we did have resistance, still got up there, resistance, now the breakout, but you broke through the micro level, and this uptrend here tells us when we got into the bullish territory. And as long as we hold this uptrend, that's our parabolic spike zone. So what that means is if we launch out of here now, where the hell? Oh, the arrow landed. No. But if we end up pushing out of here and we hold this back test, it's going to end up being something like this now all of a sudden. Hold the back test, right? You can't even come here, but that's why you're trying to hold this section because you don't want to have the free fall, invalidate this little setup. Because what I want to see is I want to see this push out. I want to see this push out, and then I want to see us retake 265. Once we retake 265, you've basically opened up the, not basically, you've opened up the door to $3. And once you retake $3, you are on a bona fide wave 5. And if you're on a bona fide wave 5, this has to happen. You would come back into the demand zone, because right now we bounced out of distribution. It was an absolutely spectacular move. If we came back down, we're seeing a little confluency with the drop to $2.07 area, which is what I drew out there just in case. To make it clear, we don't have to do that, because we already came back into discovery, bounced off, back tested here on May 8th. Now, if all this stuff starts happening, and in fact we're in a wave 5, if we get out of the demand zone and we're in discovery, oh my God, good night. Like, good night. It's one of those things where you can't re-emulate this. Like, you can't redo what we've been through the last 4 years. Like, nobody can ever take back the fact that for 4 years we sat here together and we watched it go from, 47 cents all the way up to $1.99, and then we sold out after, and we did a pretty good job there. And we had a 47-cent average. Then we watched it as our proclamation was until we got under 40 cents, and it was a long journey. Being patient and sitting through that. But it all builds into this moment. Now, if somebody comes out, we call him Johnny Comes Lately, but if Johnny does come lately, in fact, maybe not by his own fault, or if Shannon, my dear Shannon, comes so late that now all of a sudden XRP is sitting at $2.34. It may not be her fault. Maybe she's never heard about XRP. Maybe Johnny doesn't want to be late, but unfortunately his watch isn't working anymore. And he couldn't figure it out. It happens sometimes. The door gets stuck. The car doesn't start. The dog needs to go out. You need to take a shit on the way out. I don't know what the reason is why you'd be late, but there's many different reasons. So, but now the case has to be made that you missed out on the first step, but now you can't just think, okay, we've been doing this up and down, left and right for 7 years trying to get back to this zone. You can't just think all of a sudden you're going to go right back to the third supply zone, which that's what we bounced out of. But until we see further evidence, that's the box that has led us out of this into the promised land. And once you get into discovery, make no mistake about it, the way we bounced out and then bounced right back in after, this is going to be spectacular. I've been calling it the super cycle for XRP, even though the rest don't seem to be in it besides Bitcoin. And even there, you could argue that it's not in the same kind of cycle as XRP right now. But I digress. But there's a case to be made that even if the rest of them get up to where they're supposed to get to, now all of a sudden that puts XRP not just at, the $4 and $5 level. Once they start to mature to their price ranges, that could in fact put XRP in, to that triple digit range. But that's going to take some work. We got to get through, we've done the hard part of getting through $1 and $2. Now we need to retake all-time highs. And now we really need to get through discovery so that we can finish out this part of the pattern. And it's on, I would rather have this chart. We need to finish out this pattern from where we started, because this is the cup and handle that's out there. And we're filling out the handle. So everybody slow down. We are not bearish. Even if we had a micro bearish movement and I came on for 5 days in a row and said, okay, this looks bearish here in the short term, the macro look remains the same. We are hyper bullish. It's only a matter of time. And when it happens, We've already created the big W reversal. We've already created the, like I want to call it, the hook and ladder. We've already created that miracle reversal that you would need to have that parabolic spike in volume. And now the hold on these retracements. And the crazy thing is that W drawn on here, we drew this out in 2022. And we had to watch this, ha-choo, 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 and it's down and it's down and it's down, and everybody wants to jump out the fucking window, even though it's the best deal you could possibly find. The problem is when it's a bad deal, it's the best deal. When it's a great buy, can't miss, it's only going to go up from here, it's probably going to go down, and that's what's been happening. But at a certain point, it meets, it converges, and then there's nowhere else for it to go. And we're going to make a very decisive decision here. One, we're going to hold these levels. XRP won't come back down below 129 billion, and we're going up to 255. And if that's the case, that puts XRP up in ranges we've never seen. And I argue that would be guaranteed plus $4. That probably lines up with the $5.79. So if XRP, and I argue with you, XRP is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar market cap. And some, oh, Tom, it's going to be way more. I don't care if it's 500 trillion. I'm just saying I think it's realistic to say XRP can be a $1 or $2 trillion market cap company. And then people say, oh, well, the total crypto market cap's only 3. Well, then it's going to have to go up to meet that expectation, isn't it? Because I also don't believe DGB is going to be sitting at a penny 5 years from now. I don't believe algo is going to be at 23 freaking cents. Like, there's no way on God's green earth, unless it turns black on the grass, which it probably could, that XDC is going to be at 7 cents in 2030. Oh my God, Tom, 20. Yeah, but it's 2025. We're almost halfway to 2026. It happened so quick. I'm going to be doing this with a cane in 15, 20 years, and it's just going to be, hey, we've been doing this 25 years, and now our time's starting to come wind down a little bit. Even though I'll still be relatively young, I'll still be 55, but it'll be starting to get older. But you can't take back what we've already done here. We can't even go back if we wanted to. We're not even in the same situation as we were. And the only thing that I regret is that everybody watching right now didn't find us in 2021. That you weren't part of this ride to go from 3 to 5 figures to 6 figures or 4 to 6. Because it's a lot easier right now to sit here and do what I'm saying than it is for some of you that are starting from the bottom right now. And I get that. But if there's one lesson I can teach you is don't do one thing I did. Don't put 100% of your funds that are even to pay your bills on risky assets on the stock market. Bye. Bye, Scar. And make sure what you put in, you can afford to lose, because the number one reason why I would miss out is because I'd be so afraid. I'd have $5,000, not even. I'd have $1,000 in something. It goes down 10%. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's my bill money. Now I've only got $900. Where's the other $100? You know, and that's what you got to think about. Oh, I love it. Look at that. Look at that, Julie. They got in here. They got in here.
Who?
The mods are letting the bots in here. No, it's not the bot. It's not their fault. It's just there's so many bots everywhere on YouTube. It's a disgrace.
Is it okay?
Yeah. But yeah, that's what happens, everybody. See, there's nothing I can, because they redo it. No, it's not your fault. This is what ends up happening. So I'm just gonna talk and keep doing what I'm doing. But that's what ends up happening. So now we're into a spot here where a lot of people that were just getting in are getting frustrated. They're becoming afraid. And they're thinking that the sky's falling. When in fact, we've been waiting for this for a very long time. Even on this past breakout, we've been in consolidation for a while. Just think about it. This consolidation started December of 24. So now you talk, we've had to wait like 6-7 months to finally get this breakout and the back test to see. And we need the back test. Because you don't ever break out and not backtest. It doesn't happen. Sometimes you have a hyperparabolic move, and then it just comes right back down into that zone. So you always, you need the backtest. That's the bottom line. We need these backtests. And it's what needs to happen. And right now, being in it in real time, I see a lot of people getting scared. And yeah, you can be scared. But at least let this, if it's a bear flag, let it play out. And even if it plays out, because there's a chance that it can play out and we're coming back to 207. I've been talking about that for no reason, just to talk. You know. But let this play out. Even if we had to come back into the distribution box, which is possible. It's possible. Remember, the apex of this move is on September of 2025 on this descending triangle or descending pattern that is broken out. So, you know, there's a chance that it plays out all the way and this would be a premature breakout. We have to prepare for that. So the preparation says that it comes down to 207. And we've seen multiple layers of confirmation to suggest that, or 206. And that would be reasonable. That's a very reasonable breakdown. And then what you do is you back test not just the wider part of this breakout, the official part of the pattern, but you also back test the short side of this as well. If you go into the dailies, it's kind of like minus the wicks and things like that. So you get rid of the top wick and then you start looking at it from a daily perspective. But there's never a problem with having to correct yourself here. Now, if we're looking at XRP, there's two things we need to look at here. One, we need to talk about the SEC delaying things again, because this seems to be a common proponent of what seems to happen here. Then we're going to talk about the CME real quick. Okay, we'll talk about the CME, which is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, where we had the futures. So, the SEC delays decisions on XRP and Dogecoin exchange-traded fund proposals. Ask for public input. Well, I'm sure the public's going to say, what the hell are you asking us for? Just already approve them. What do you need government or funding for this? The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission pushed back deadlines for a few proposals on whether to approve exchange-traded funds tracking XRP and Dogecoin. The SEC asked for public comments for the 21 shares Core XRP Trust, the Grayscale XRP Trust, and the Grayscale Dogecoin Trust, according to the filings posted on Tuesday. Institution of proceedings is appropriate at this time in view of the legal and policy issues raised by the proposed rule change, the SEC said in one of the filings. Institutions of proceedings does not indicate that the Commission has reached any conclusions with respect to any of the issues involved. Rather, the Commission seeks and encourages interested persons to provide comments on the proposed rule change. The SEC also pushed back making a decision on whether to approve a proposal to allow Bitwise's Ethereum ETF to permit staking, according to filings on Tuesday. And I know this is the boring stuff, but if you hold XRP, it's just like reading a book. If you don't read it, you're never going to learn what it has inside of it. If you don't look at the news of XRP, you're never going to know what's inside the token. Outside of the price. You got to unbox it. The SEC has delayed and asked for comments for several crypto ETF proposals over the last few months. As it weighs dozens of proposals, the agency under the Trump administration has taken a different approach to digital assets. During the Biden administration and following a pivotal court ruling, the SEC approved the listing and the trading of spot Bitcoin ETFs and later spot Ethereum ETFs since President Donald Trump took office in January. Speaking of Donald Trump, how about that Golden Dome? Promise I would say something about it once I got into this. How about that Golden Dome? Let me continue reading. Most of you probably don't even know what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about his hair. The SEC has dropped several lawsuits against crypto firms and has held public crypto roundtables to discuss how to regulate the industry. SEC delays on spot crypto ETFs are to be expected, said Bloomberg Intelligence ETF analyst James Seifert on Tuesday in a post on X. Almost scary. It's makes you wonder why. Makes you wonder why. Makes you wonder what's really going on here. Aren't they giving us don't they ever say you read between the lines and you Why would you build a dome? What are we blocking from? What are we not supposed to see? Could there be some kind of event happening in the sky very, very soon? Could it be part of Project Bluebeam? I've already said enough. I heard you, JW. If we're going to see early approvals from the SEC on any of these assets, I would expect to see them until late June. I wouldn't expect to see them until late June or early July. At absolute earliest. More likely to be in early fourth quarter, Seifert said. Seifert also noted that no matter who is in charge at the SEC, the agency usually takes the full time allotted to respond. Almost all of these filings have final due dates in October, early decisions with the action that's out of the norm, no matter how crypto-friendly this SEC is, Seifert said in a post on X. Everyone has one, so the U.S. needs one as well. Well, everybody else has one to protect them from the USA. Whoops, did I say that out loud? Let's see. The block is an independent. Let's see. Well, the good news is the U.S. I funded for all of these domes independently, living in the USA and being a tax-paying citizen. So, I mean, if you need any, you're welcome. Hold on. We're going to need to have some relaxation before I get in trouble. I wouldn't dare get in trouble. You know me, I'm always on my best of behavior. Alright. So, yeah. There's a... I thought it was something to ward off evil spirits. Hey, in a sense it is. In a sense it is. So, what's new with everybody? Let's see what everybody has to say here. I know, Strider. That's why I can't say anything. That's why I just speak in code. I'll say one or two words that I know are allowed, and then I don't say anything else. We have to just talk crypto. But it's okay. It's okay. And you know, some people are like, Tom, why don't you just go somewhere and charge $4.99 a month? You want to know the honest to God truth? I could do that. I've got enough people on YouTube now at over 38,000 that I'd get enough people to follow to where I would make more than I do on YouTube even. Let's put it that way. The problem with that is, one, I don't want to because I don't think that it's the most efficient way. But two, do you know how many people, and some might think it's pathetic, some might think it's embarrassing, some might think it's sad. I think it's very motivating for why I need to continue doing exactly what I'm doing. Because I used to be one of these statistics. Do you know how many people can't afford $4.99 a month? Do you know how many people can't afford $2 a month? I was one of these people because I would have to go into the negative for my bills. So if that happens, I wouldn't be able to afford this either. So I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's embarrassing. I don't think you should be embarrassed. I don't think that you should be ashamed. I think you're here for a reason. I think the reason you're here is to take action with me. And if you're here, I take action every single day. Why? One, because I don't want to go back there. Two, I don't want anybody else to have to stay there. It's pretty simple. There's not even a third step. There's two reasons. Well, I guess the third reason was I like to give historical data just so that as many people as possible can follow if they want to. There's a better way. Guys, there is a better way. And it's not just, I'm going to buy crypto and I'm going to get rich overnight. Because you're not. It never happens that way. To gain the wealth we have in crypto, it's taken us 4 years. If you're watching me for the first time right now, can you dedicate 4 years of your life right now? And the way we've done it, the ones who have done it like I have, maybe they haven't been here every day 4 years like I have. I started March 24th of 2021, and I've never missed a day. So I put out over 5,000, I don't even know how many videos. 5,600 videos. Some might think that's crazy. I think it's what I need to be doing. It's exactly what I want to be doing. So, and Zachary said Tommy's going to make us rich. Just listen. I'm not going to make anybody rich. You're going to make you rich. I'm just giving you the advice that is helping me become very wealthy. And I'm not a millionaire yet. I've told people this many times. I'm not a millionaire yet. I'm a lot closer today than I was the first time I said this 4 years ago and said the only difference between me being a millionaire and you watching somebody that is I'm letting you watch the journey in real time. As to where you're only watching them because they're a millionaire. You're watching me because you think you can become one with me. So, my goal is to have $1 million in assets. Well, since you started watching me, I've paid off my house. I've got all this stuff. I don't know exact amount, but it's definitely getting closer to $600,000 in assets now. So, you know, we're one hop, skip, and a jump away from hitting that elusive club. But the only reason I say this is because most of the people that are getting put off here, they're only coming in right now. They're only looking. Guys, if you're just coming in right now, I sold ZIL in 2022 and it was over 20 cents. Now I bought ZIL back under a penny and it's at 1.2 cents. When I say there's opportunity like we've never seen before, there is opportunity like we've never seen before, folks. And whether that means you get one more chance and it comes down and it bounces back another 12 to 15. Because I could see a 15% drop. It just happens. It just happens. Like look at MXC. We talked about that inverse head that could drop down and it could very well happen. Some people even acknowledge it on YouTube, which is always nice when I see somebody actually shout me out. Not other influencers, but people in my chat. And they're like, hey, it happened like you thought. Well, just because it happened like I thought doesn't mean it's a good thing. It still means that there's short-term pain. But I don't know why this keeps getting deleted off of here. It's so weird. Every time something happened. So we thought it could come down to the bottom. And maybe it would come out and create a head. Well, it came down again here. And now is this a double bottom? Or is it going to fall through? We don't know. But if that breaks through, it could come down and flip a zero. If it doesn't, this would be your apex buy zone. The problem is, would you buy it there? Or would you wait? It almost comes down to, how much do you believe in this? But there's no sure answer there. Like, that's the setup. And technically, it's a very scary setup. It's a very scary setup. Especially if you bought this and you just let it ride and drop. I know, James. I know what happened with you. But that's where I have to keep telling you, my friend. You, in particular, and thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. You are a perfect example. And I'm not yelling. I'm just saying. Sometimes God puts somebody in a position so I can use you as an example, just like I'm used as an example all the time. James, you are the perfect person. The perfect person. Because you're trying to do it in a fast-paced environment, which has also led you away from spot trading and has led you into leverage trading. Now, here's the number one reason why I hate when people do leverage. You can never make that percentage game in spot that quickly as you do in futures. So you're always, no matter what, no matter how many times you lose, it only takes one time to win. When you see I put in $500 and I make 100% in 2 hours. As to where if I put that same $500 in a spot trade, it's going to take me 2 months or 2 years, right? So I'm going to tell you for a fact, you're not going to win leverage trading. Fact. I won't win at leverage trading if I do it 365 days a year. It's a fact. And yeah, some people always have to bring up the fact that, oh, I've watched you leverage trade and I've seen when we were up 400 or 500%, or I've seen when you turned 1,000 into 3 and 2. Yeah, that happens. But I've talked often about Bagelgate when I didn't have as much money. Okay, and I was finally doing good. And I got greedy. I turned 4 into 8. 8 into 16. You know what that $1,600 could have did? That $1,600 could have paid every single bill I had left over. But no. I said, well, this is so easy. I'm not going to sell any of it. Hell, I'm so smart. I'm not even going to put a stop loss on. I made a bagel. And I came back, and I kid you not, the entire market, and I was just on a 20x or 10x trade. The whole market dropped like, I'm not kidding, like 15% in 2 minutes. And that was one of those days Bitcoin decided to drop like 10,000 points and like 6,000 points in 6 minutes. And I came back, and all I did was pop the bagel out and buttered it. And when I came back, my whole phone was flashing. I'm like, what the hell is all this noise? And I was up like $1,800. And I came back and I was liquidated. So, and that was the last of our money we had that, at least in the crypto, not outside of our spot positioning, but that was like the only money I had to turn it into something at the time, like something more. So, you know, and yes, it's gambling. So is spot buying. But when you're leverage trading, when you are making multiples of your money, you know, so. But that's not to say, oh, you should be afraid. That's just to say, I don't want anybody to leverage trade. I want you to do it by spot trading. And I want you to do it with real fundamentals, because if you understand the fundamentals, you're going to make money time after time after time after time after time. It's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot easier. Let's see. The opportunity with all ISO and IoT tokens are there. I mean, honestly, you're absolutely right about that. You are absolutely right about that, Shane. And it's because of you that Alchemy Pay was in my brain. And I remember I told you at 5 cents, I can't buy it here, but when it comes back down to the bottom of this formation, I'm going to buy it. And at least I can tell you that I am true to that word, because in the not so distant past, and I did an update about it, and I talked about those. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to buy it because Tom said he bought it, I made it very clear in the update that it could come down to 2-1. Because if it did break down there, it could. Maybe it comes down farther. But just seeing this was where I said, okay, I think I'm okay with this. I waited for it to come down from 5 cents. Actually, it was way farther back because this is in the 45. But I waited it while it was at the top of the conceived hit up here. And yeah, I wanted to buy it. And then I wanted to buy it, but I just couldn't do it. So, I mean, you talk about it's come down how far now? And I told myself, like, how long are you going to wait? That's 58%. Like, at some point, you're going to have to consolidate into this because you're not going to get the bottom. So, I can get close. Now, I think maybe we could come down to, like I was saying, the 2-1. But the only way for me to get serious about it is to buy it down, just like with XDC. It came down 57%. And now it's like I'm buying it, and I'm just going to keep buying it and have a routine. Right now on Alchemy Pay, I'm at like 110,000 tokens. And if I can continue to buy more, I'll buy more. Just like XDC, I'm at 42,000 plus. If I continue to buy more, I'll continue to buy more. I've went back into the accumulation phase on certain things. Just like with the mining stocks. And we'll get back into crypto, but now some of you are going to have to sit through something you might not ever see me do. And then we'll get into the all-time highs. Actually, you know what? Trading with Jay, right? Since you sent a $10 donation. And thank you for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. And sent a $10 donation. What a generous son of a bitch you are. I appreciate that. First donation, and or anybody joining the live. Or joining the... I would love to see more members of Tom's Army. I see more people not in Tom's Army again than in Tom's Army in the chat, and it's a shame. It's a shame. We're barely able to keep the lights on in this community. But we're doing it. I might have a candle going, true story. I need more signups. Maybe I can turn the candle off and turn the light back on. I'm not even like Motel 8. I can't even keep the lights on for our residents. I'm like the Sunnyside Trailer Park. You come in, but you supply your own lights. Tom, what app should I use to calculate crypto taxes? That's a hell of a question. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I calculate it by what the exchanges send me. And if they're not sending me any kind of form, they're not sending it to the IRS either. I've been told by many people not to pay taxes on crypto, but I can't not do that. So I'm going to keep doing it. But I'm not going to go outside of myself to do stuff like that. I'm allergic to bagels, so I'm safe. I wish I was at that time. Although, Bagelgate, what happened? Bagelgate legitimately changed my life because it made me focus in a different direction. And you're never allowed to say how many years it's been.
I don't know how many.
Exactly. So, but, you know, it certain things, if that wouldn't have happened, a few...
Dramatic too.
I was.
Forget when you flopped.
I flopped on the bed, and it was the most deflating moment ever. And it wasn't even just about the money loss, because it was, in the grand scheme, it was only $1,800, but it was the fact that I had built it up, and I thought that I had a system in place that couldn't fail, and it was a stupid system. And looking at it now, it's like, I wouldn't even use that system now. But I thought it was so good. And it was for a second, but it was a high-risk, high-reward system. Let me just put it that way. Let's see. It was an expensive bagel, all it was. But anyhow. Actually, it was. I didn't even eat the damn bagel. I threw it in the garbage. Couldn't even eat it. I was so disgusted. But then I literally was like,
It was the end of the world.
It was the end of the world. Because then it's the, when you start at, you know, $1,800 to turn into something a lot bigger is a lot easier than starting at $1 again. Ooh, I gotta wait. Anyhow, but that's what I said. We're never going back there, so we have to keep working progressively every day. So you won't see me missing a day because I know what it's like. Julie knows what it's like. But I don't want my son to know what it's like. You know? I don't want Julie's kids to know what it's like when they're here. I want them to see what can be. You know, if you think outside the box. But with all-time highs, I mean, I do think a slew of these are going to get back to all-time highs. Like, there's no doubt about it. I think I'll stay with the ISO. I like ZIL, but a lot of people are going, I don't know what ZIL is. But, and if you don't know, just look up the Zaliqua network. Like, I say it all the time. Just look at what it offers. If you like the meme sphere, and I'm not talking about meme coins. Talk about your online gaming and online worlds. How some people have online property. You already bet them? Oh. Oh, yeah. That's still only, 19 minutes. But we drew this out for XRP. And let me just show everybody, because a lot of you will be like, okay, I can understand this from the perspective of XRP. So with the XRP market cap, if you're new, we drew this out a long time ago. It was the big Hank Hill ass, and Julie's been watching King of the Hill with me the last 2 days. In season 1, I haven't watched it in so long, but it is so freaking funny. It is just so funny the way he acts. But the W, we drew this out, and we always used to say, what if? Man, what if this happens? And we said, well, what if it happens? That's what we're buying here at 33 cents and 35 cents and 38 cents. And like, I was good, but then some were buying it at 40. And yeah, just because they were waiting for this. And now it's like, well, if that happens, what if this breaks out of that handle? And well, then what if that, you know, and it continuously being. So now that has happened. XRP has happened. It came up, it's got the W filled. Now it's doing the consolidation on the W, which would be the handle. Once that handle successfully pushes out, we're talking about, you know, we're talking about $5 plus, and there's no way to stop it. There could be up and down consolidation, but there's no way to stop it. Oh, yeah, XDC is on BITUNIX. Oh, I know. None of dad boy. You know what? You're right. It ain't that bad as the guy that bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoins back in the day, though. Oh, I know. Can you imagine, Julie? Guy paid 10,000 Bitcoins when Bitcoin was like pennies on the dollar. And he bought a pizza with 10,000 Bitcoin. And now Bitcoin, that was 10,000 that he paid. Those 10,000 pennies, or should I say 10,000 Bitcoin? The guy would be a billionaire. Bitcoin's worth 106,000. This guy, every 10 Bitcoin would be $106 million. And he had 10,000 he paid for a pizza. That'd be like me having XRP and it going to 106,000 right now. You know how much money I would have? But it can't happen. We can have fantasies, but I don't live in fairy tale land. Can't happen with XRP. Bitcoin's only got 25 million tokens. XRP's got 100 billion. It's worth mentioning. Now, it's going to happen in a way, but it's not going to happen like everybody wants. So, we've seen XRP with how high it got with that W. I've drawn a couple of them out. Algo is the same way. We're just watching it. It's still here. But the only reason XRP is filled out is because it filled out. This is going to maintain like this until XRP actually fills out, or until Algo fills out. And at some point, I know all of you see that inverse head and shoulders that is right in front of you. Or should I draw it out for you? But I know we see it. I know for everybody who's been watching me, you should be able to see this by now. Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. I went over too far. I was looking at my other screen to see how hard it would be, and it's a delay, so I tried to screwed it up. So when I looked back over, it was not good. But down here to here and to here, and this is the back test right now. Like if this is the back test of the neckline, look out! Like this is just getting ready. And for transparency, I have just over 33,000 algo. If you would have told me in 2022 I would have 33,000 algo when it was past $2, I would have said, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be rich." That's what I'm saying. It's not just XRP. Do you know how many people would kill to have the knowledge that you have watching right now? To know what the ISO tokens or the IoT tokens are? Do you know how many people don't understand that part of this game? Like legitimately, and this chart is shit because it only goes back that far. But do you know how many people don't understand this the way we understand and would pay somebody for this knowledge? Like legitimately pay somebody for this knowledge. Actually, I think that chart was right. I thought it wasn't going past. Yeah, that's fine. But do you know how many people wish, or how many people are seeking this out? And they'll find it, but when it's too late. You see how we've been crashing with algo and the volume's crashing? What do I always say? Crashing price, crashing volume, recipe for a bullish reversal. It's only a matter of time. That weekly could not be clear enough on that inverse head and shoulders. Could not be clearer. And I don't talk about algo as much as I should. Not even close to as much as I should. But this is another one you need to be accumulating, and you need to be accumulating probably now. I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't just say, pull out the money in your wallet and buy this shit. And I say shit leniently because it is everything but shit. But I'm saying, this is from the weekly perspective. Like, and maybe it's a little grainy. Maybe it's, what the hell is this? Maybe it's a stupid advertisements. TradingView is jumping the shark. Somebody create something better, please. But you're out in front of this right now. I feel the same way about algo and DGB. Yeah, forget all the rest. I feel the same way about algo as I did about XRP when we were kind of just waiting. Okay, well, we're down 40%, but I'm still waiting. Well, we've just had a 150% move, but I'm still waiting. And then all of a sudden it happened. That's where we're at with algo. This has gone on for way too long. It's created the big W. It can only go for so long unless this is legitimately going to zero, which I anticipate 0% that it's going to happen. You know. Somebody said get Julie on the stream. Julie's right here. She's just very soft-spoken. She's not going to talk. Not to you guys. She's still drawing about the bagel. That I threw it in the garbage. Not that we lost money. That I didn't eat the bagel. No, she's knitting because she's making something for my feet. It may or may not be for my feet. Yeah, she wouldn't make anything for my feet. But anyhow, the W is there. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of if we buy it or not. I'm gonna feel sorry for everybody who doesn't own the ISO ones, with all the times we spent talking about it. So trading with J-Rod, to answer your question, Algo is gonna get back to all-time highs and then some. IOTA, probably the cream of my crop. And I am ashamed of myself for only having 10,000 tokens right now. Like, seriously ashamed. Because I almost want to bash my head through the wall thinking that if I only come out of this with 10,000 tokens, which would have been a dream back in 22, and I have this on BITUNIX. You know, there's a lot of stuff on BITUNIX. A lot of stuff. But this is another one that it's got that same W pattern set up that XRP had, but it's not ready to, it hasn't broke out yet. It's the best way it has not broken out yet. It's gonna happen. And you know, you can start to come to conclusions, but it's gonna happen. This is eventually gonna happen. And the crazy thing about this is, if you go through this all time and you start to look at it like this perspective, then like you look at it at this perspective, like it gets pretty interesting when you start to be like, all right, well, it's been riding on this support for a pretty damn long time. Actually, that's not right. It's close. Yeah. It's been riding on this area for a long time. Eventually, it's going to break out. And when it does, that's a long way back up. And the history says, ready? That's the resistance barrier, and this is the support structure. Watch what I mean. And it's pretty crazy when you see this. So, oh my God, we ran out of steam. It's a long fall down. Hey, a boat. At least we're not sunk. Came up, no support, came back down. But this is very steady land. Came back up again. But we still had this steady area. Broke back up again. Whatever the hell this is up here, it just happens to be like a brick wall. Came back down and then came back up, and there was just not enough. Market ended, cycles end, quantitative easing ends. Came right back down to the floor. But again, it has been holding for all this time. That is such a steady area. We feel so safe there. But eventually we feel too safe, and we get too many people here, and we lift off. And eventually we will, because we're building a cup. I don't care what anybody says, we're building a cup. It's the beauty of this. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. We're building a cup. And think of it this way. It's like the bottom of the flotation devices. It's like we're on a ship. That's a tire, or that's the bottom of the bow. Whatever. We're floating, okay? The point is that we're floating. But we're building another cup. We did it here. Yay! Right? Yay! Smaller one. Yay! Yay! Oh my. Oh boy. When once we break out, something big's going to happen. And, you know, it takes a little bit of imagination to see what I'm seeing right now, or hopefully you're seeing what I'm seeing. But I think you can understand what I'm saying. If you've watched me long enough, I think you can see what I'm seeing here. Some people might be watching right now and say, oh my God, this guy's on LSD. The rest of you will say, oh my God, this guy, he actually sees it for what it is because he's, well, maybe I'm insane to some of you, or maybe I'm brilliant. It's one of those things. But I tend to be able to see things before they happen. I can see this developing in real time. So, you know, it's a very weird element that I sit here with. When things are so cheap, and yet I feel like it's back with XRP before we had this massive breakout. It really feels that way to me. I really feel that way again. Let's see. Ooh, there was a donation. I missed it. Froze on my screen, the comments. Tom, you're a machine brother. Thank you for all you do for the Army. Second to none technical analysis. Hey, I really appreciate that. And Shane, Caglada. I've struggled with this for 4 years, Julie. This name. Shane C. Shane Caglada. But thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 4 years with the XRP. And this is the newest one in the XRP collection, but this is the one that you see on my video updates, not on the lives, but on the video updates. That's the XRP Phoenix badge. Love it. Thank you so much. I never thought I'd see the day when somebody was in Tom's Army, let alone being 4 years. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Nanis, that boy said, for me, it's not so much about getting rich. It's more about the joy of watching something evolve from a seed to something great. Because when we eventually get rich, stuff change. Of course. Of course. But remember, if you're a dick right now, when you become rich, you're going to be an even bigger dick. If you're a good person, you're going to become a better person. Money's not going to change you from being good or bad to good. You know? The more money I get, the more I can help. I help others. And it means it's big for me. Like, there's family, there's people. The way that I can do things. You know? So I want to create abundance. Not just for myself or everybody else. So, like, that means if it's a Saturday or a Sunday and I'm door dashing, well, if I normally give a $5 tip, well, it's Saturday or Sunday, well, they're easily getting a 30% bigger tip because they're working on a Sunday. Saturday, they're still getting a bigger tip. Or if something's, you know, it's just that kind of stuff, you know. So, you got to remember the money's not going to make you a better person. It's going to make you a worse person. But it can make you a better person if you are a good person. But you have to have a good heart, you know. That doesn't mean you got to go give 30% to the church. Like, I don't believe that. But you want to be charitable. You will, Adam. It doesn't take as much as you think. But it also, you have to live within your means. Like me, for what I'm worth right now and what I've made, I live well below my means. My house, when I bought it, was and I wasn't below my means when I bought it. My house is 100. I paid 150. I don't even know what I paid. 155. And I mean, I got a good deal on it, but it needed a lot of work. And right now the house is worth 260 something. It says on the yearly report. So, you know, that's fine. But I could easily move into a house that's, I don't know, $400,000 or $500,000 house. But what it's going to do is it's going to eat away at what I have. You know, and then all of a sudden, I have a $140,000 mortgage again. Now I got to pay monthly payments. You know, so then when you have to take out the loan, $140,000 is going to cost me $220, even if I do it quick. So it's like, I'm never moving again. My house is bad. We're not moving. I've hit my final resting place. The only thing that can happen is I can evolve my yard, which I've been working my ass off, building my gardens. I've got so much shit going on right now, so much stuff I've done. It's unfreaking believable over the last 2 weeks. Outside. I've been outside like 4 to 6 hours a day minimum, just working. On the weekends longer. Today I was out there for over 4 hours, but I'm trying to create abundance for, you know, and like, I can't see out of my left eye, so I can't drive anymore. After, you know, like 3 years ago. And that's when it all changed. But I don't depend on anybody, and I'll take an Uber. But mostly I walk. And some people are like, why do you walk? Keeps me humble. Keeps me humble. Just walking the mile to the gym and the mile back. And knowing that people are looking at me and being like, oh, I'm glad I'm not that guy. And me saying, oh my God, I'm glad I'm not none of these people. This is great. I'm the happiest person you could ever see walking down the road. I haven't shaved my goatee. I haven't cut my hair since July of 2023. Believe it or not. I mean, look how long that is now. You know, you would, if I didn't have it in a pony, it would be so long. But I'm trying to, I've always been a little different than everybody else. I don't like to go anywhere. I'm so much of a homebody. I don't like to have more than I need. And even right now, I have more than I could ever want. And like, I don't even spend money as much as most people. So like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Rick, you brought it up. I started the 6,000 steps today. I know I talked about it on air. Let me go on. I've not missed a day yet of my 6,000 plus steps since I made that proclamation on the air. That was last month too at some point. Today, look, see? That's how dedicated. Oh, you might not be able to see it. But I'm at 11,000 steps today so far. But I'm glad somebody actually brought that up. I have hit 6,000 plus steps since that was on April 11th. I said that. And I've hit 6,000 plus steps every single day since that, on that day and then after. So yes. Yes, I have, Rick, as a matter of fact. And I weighed myself yesterday in the gym, which I don't really like to do. I used to have an issue with it years ago. But I took my shoes off and I took my backpack off. I had my clothes on. But I wasn't even 178 pounds. And when I couldn't get the weight, and this is the official, like what you would use at the doctor, where you have to move the little thing. The ones you do at a weigh-in, you know, if you're a professional athlete, because it's more accurate. And I seen it, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I know you're 178 pounds. I put on a lot of muscle. I know some of you have seen me in my videos. And I think it's pretty cool how some of you talk about the guns and everything. But man, it was a crazy thing. And I'm 6 feet tall. And, you know, I'm not like super skinny. But like it's just like I used to be when I was in high school. I would wear like, especially I was like a 42 pant size, and now it's like to wear a 34 and it's big, it still throws me off. I'm like, whoa, these are 34s. Or not to wear an XL shirt and actually wear a large, even though I could probably wear a medium, but to buy the large and be like, Julie, is this a large? It's so big. Yes, it's a large. It's not an extra large. But it's all those weird things, and it's been a long time, you know. And then I go to the gym 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You know, I'm walking up. Well, Julie drops me off, so we take my son to school. And then I go to the gym. As you can see, I basically talked myself out of this live for an hour, but I still want to get into the precious metals real quick. But Julie drops me off there every day, Monday through Friday. On Friday, if our son doesn't have school, I walk up there. And then I walk back home, but I take the long way. So I walk 4,000 steps before I get back home, you know, from the walk. And then I do my work at home. I usually will smoke a joint or two. And then like I went outside and I worked until we had to go pick up our son at 11:28. And then we had to go to his food therapy today. And then right when I got back home, at food therapy, I did the short and I did the video on Alchemy Pay because there was an hour window. And then I walked some there, probably like about a mile because they have a little track. So I always walk there because why waste time? Why sit down? Might as well walk around and do something. So I do that. Then I came home and I worked in the garden, did all this stuff. I put some wooden fences out of my about 4 different. It's just a whole bunch of stuff I can't even believe. So it's like I'm trying to make every day. I don't know. I'm trying to evolve into something that I never was. Like I was a dreamer, but I did a lot, but I could have done more. Like every year I'd get to winter and be like, man, I wish I would have tried this in the garden. This year I'm not wishing shit. I'm doing it all. Even if it's too much, I'm doing it all. And that doesn't mean I'm going on extraordinary vacations. I'm going to fucking fancy bars or doing all this crap. I'm not fine whining and dining shit, except my garden. So this is what suits me. This is what suits me. No. I didn't have a pony when it reached $1. No, I said it gave me the opportunity to cut my hair. But I said I would sacrifice it for a while. But I don't know. I may never cut it again. Julie knows me. Julie knows me. I may never cut my hair again. When I start doing something, I'm very, very, very weird. And then I become like, I can't not do it. How's it going? Okay. Yeah, I'm about to end this in a sec, too. But this is what suits me. I love everybody else, too, who are in the gym and stuff. It's awesome. I love it. But, like, before we leave, and I know, well, we'll have more stuff to talk about tomorrow. There's just so much stuff. But DGB is one that I believe is going to have that big push up eventually as well. That's why I have the W drawn out. I think Like, I've drawn it out. I've already got the avenue to 30 cents. It's just win. So if I'm patient, like if it got to 30 cents, like we're not talking small potatoes here for me. You know, if it got to 30 cents, I would be bona fide a multimillionaire. And I know it doesn't seem real because it's just 30 cents, but it doesn't even have to get to 30 cents. Well, maybe not a bona fide millionaire. Would it be? But what? Wait a minute. See, because every time I do the math, it always throws me off. It wouldn't be a millionaire. It'd be like, what? 10 cents would be 200,000, I believe. Yeah, because 2 million tokens. So if you have 2 million tokens at 30 cents, what's that price? Was that 600,000, or am I doing the math wrong? I can never do it wrong. I can never do it bad. Or I can never do it properly. Because I don't like to forward think that much about what it would be worth. But there's just, I can see this happening. It's just when, hey, we're going through the stages now, right? But eventually it's not going to be down here anymore. Eventually it's going to break through. When? I don't know. But I can tell you this weekly candle is not as bearish as it is. Okay, it looks bearish, which it could be for a week or two or three. But eventually it's going to round. Heck, it might not even be bearish that long because the daily's trying to tell us a different story. But could be a pending death cross. Could come back down here. You know, we could have a significant drop. I don't know. But I do know in time, this is going to be much, much higher than it is. But for the sake of time, time for the sun to come in. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But precious metals real quick. Gold had a nice day. Was up about $60 on the day. Pushing back towards 3,300. Barrett Gold was up 2.5%, up to 1867. B2 Gold was our big mover today, up 5.25%, up to $3.21, gained 16 cents. Silver back over $33, which is awesome. Pan America Silver's up 2.67% to $23.80. I don't care about after hours. First Majestic was up 4.23% at $5.92. So these are great moves back up here, nice recoveries. And we'll see if it continues into the week. The U.S. dollar is barely hanging on to the 100 handle, and it's not going to. Not for any time of substance. And the problem is here is Donald Trump ran an election to have the dollar de-dollarized, which he didn't have to run an election on that. But that's what he called for because he didn't want to look like an asshole, because that's what he had to call for, because that's what's going to happen. So the dollar is going to be de-dollarized. And sorry, we keeping you up. Exactly. Sorry for you guys, I'd be sleeping. No, I wish, but I can't even sleep even if I wasn't on here. But the DXY is coming down. It's gonna come down hard. It's gonna come down hard. You have no idea. If you've been watching me, you have an idea. But these are not just fairy tale numbers I drew out here all this time ago. It's going to come down, and it's going to come down hard. And it might already be in the process. What are we going to do when the dollar's at 62? I don't know. I just know I'm glad I'm buying gold and silver bullion. And been for many years. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't have it dark and gloomy. Because I know what time it is. Do you know what time it is? And if you're new, you might just run out the door. Ladies and gentlemen, the sunny days are here again. Oh, sunny days. Oh, what a day. Oh, sunny days. Oh, what a day. I wear glasses 'cause I can't see a motherfucking thing. Happy days. Oh, happy days. Oh, what a day. Oh, happy day. Oh. What a day. XRP. Reign supreme. Let us not forget the But oh, we're gonna crash and we did and we will and we may and we won't and we may even take a shit and we will and we won't and we did and we will and let's say we did but we didn't but we will and we won't and we didn't we can and we will and we won't and we will. Oh yeah, stay true, stay. I was gonna say it's a broomstick, but now I'm not sure what it is. Now it looks like he just had a meteor go right through him. But anyhow, that's crazy. Oh yeah, that was a yes, that is true. The USA did find a massive, massive score of lithium, which isn't it convenient they find it with the whole next step. So have a great night, everybody. But he's having a good time. Not sure.